Thanks for tuning in to the second session of Wareham Land Trust's virtual birding series. I'm Mike Perrin. I'm the TerraCore Land Stewardship Coordinator with Wareham Land Trust, and I'll be giving you a tour of Great Neck Conservation Area owned by Wildlands Trust. The parking area is off Crooked River Road. Not much of a parking area, but enough to fit a couple cars in. I chose Great Neck Conservation Area because there's a diversity of habitats, including pitch pine and white pine forest, scrubby understory thickets, as well as a pond and a farm. So let's get out there and see what we can find today. We'll start in the parking area. Right now we're sandwiched between two pieces of conservation land, one being the Great Neck Conservation Area and one being Minot Forest. We have big trees on either side with a big opening being the road, and there's some scrubby understory, which is great for looking for birds. Right now, early in the morning, the birds are going to be looking to eat bugs, caterpillars, anything that they can find that's starting to soak up that early morning sun. There are a couple birds that are singing and calling behind us, and if you pay enough attention, it can be a slew of amazing colors. So first, pretty common, we have the northern cardinal, a bright red bird with a bright red mohawk. They whoop, 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 almost like a siren from a fire engine. We also have orioles singing behind us, which make a chatter call. And they're doing the same thing that those smaller birds are doing, looking for bugs. We have a few warbler species singing in here as well. One, which is one of my absolute favorites, is the northern parula, or parula. It's like tomato. The northern parula is a small woodland warbler that has a white underbelly, a really interesting blue back, and a bright yellow throat and face. Its song is a rapid upward spiral, or a trill, and it ends with a pop. Pop. Scrubby thickets like this, which are just tangles of greenbrier, blueberry, and other understory shrubs growing. This is a favorite habitat for the gray catbird, which you can hear making little meowing sounds like that. So, gray catbirds are part of the mimid family, along with brown thrasher and northern mockingbird. That means that they can throw their voice in a ton of different ways, making sounds of killdeer, yellowlegs, other birds that they might have encountered while they were in their imprinting period, learning their different song. So, if you hear an unusual sound in the forest, kind of squeaky, almost sounds like a cat, probably hearing a gray catbird. Now we're sandwiched between a marsh and a big old pond. This is a really interesting area because there's lots of swallows that fly over the pond, and there's lots of red-winged blackbirds and grackles that occupy the wetland. Also in the wetlands is another warbler species, the common yellowthroat. The common yellowthroat sings and makes a song that says, "Wichita, Wichita, Wichita, Witchit." So, a few times I've mentioned that birds say or sing a particular rhythm or phrase. That's what we call a mnemonic. A mnemonic is a way to remember what birds sound like. For instance, one of my favorite ones is the white-throated sparrow. They say, "Old Sam Peabody, Peabody, Peabody." So, when you're out birding in the field and you hear a bird, I often repeat it back to myself in my head, and that phrase will match what I'm hearing, which makes me remember what species I'm actually encountering. So right now, we're overlooking the farm that's abutting Great Neck. This field is a really good spot for birds that are looking for little bugs that are flying above the grass. Out on that brush pile, there is a pair of eastern kingbirds. There are also maybe 15 to 20 barn swallows flying around in this big field who probably live in one of those barns. Today in this field we've seen only 2 different sparrow species, but I'm sure if we looked harder we could probably find more. entering the section of tall white pine forest. There's a couple species that we can expect to find in here. Two warbler species are very fond of pine forests. One, you can tell by the name, the pine warbler. It has an ascending and descending trill for its song. So it goes brrrr. The next warbler species that you can expect to hear, or see even, is the ovenbird. People say that it's the excited student. It says, teacher, 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 teacher. Or, since it's called the ovenbird, people also say that it says, pizza, 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 pizza. This is an example. So you hear the teacher, 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 teacher. An ovenbird is called an ovenbird because they make a nest on the ground in the shape of an oven. Pine warbler is a pine warbler because they like pines. Mixed in with those two warbler species, you can also find great crested flycatchers at the tops of trees looking for little bugs to catch. This is our biggest flycatcher species in Massachusetts. They have a very distinguishable song that sounds like vreep, vreep. You can hear it sounding through big pine forests like this. Also mixed in with these low blueberries, you'd be able to find eastern towhees, which sing out their call, towhee, towhee, and their song, drink your tea. So while walking along the farm field, we heard a brown-headed cowbird. People say it sounds like a wet computer that's starting up. Brown-headed cowbirds are an interesting species because they have a reproductive strategy that grants them a lot of hatred. Cowbirds are what you would call brood parasites. So what this means is a cowbird will utilize the nest of another bird and lay their eggs in it. So when a robin lays their eggs and leaves the nest for a quick second while incubating, a female cowbird will go into that nest, lay its eggs, and that robin will then incubate that cowbird. This is interesting because that cowbird egg will be the first one to hatch, it will be the loudest, and it will be the hungriest, which means it will get fed the most out of any of the other chicks. This often results in the other chicks perishing and the cowbird getting essentially a free ride from that mother robin. Once the cowbird is old enough, it will hear a flock of cowbird species and join in and know somehow that it's a cowbird. How cowbirds know they're cowbirds is an interesting topic in biology, and the answer is not really known. So while walking through the pine forest, we heard a bird that's actually uncommon in Wareham during this time of the year, and you can expect to see them more in the winter. It's a brown creeper. Brown creepers go up trees, they hug the base of it, and they blend in really well. They're a dark brown with white little mottled spots on it, so it looks just like bark. It's got a curved bill that it uses to get into the nooks and crannies of this bark looking for bugs. So right now we have a pair of red-shouldered hawks flying over. You can tell that they're red-shouldered hawks because they have a tail that's very finely banded, and they have what's called a window patch on their wing. So it looks like you can see through the wing a little bit. Last time I was here, I also saw and heard red-shouldered hawks. Since there's a pair, they're vocalizing, it's likely that they have a nest around this area. We just had a ruby-throated hummingbird fly by the trail. Right now, we have to our left some houses, and to our right, more forest. That means that there's likely a hummingbird feeder in one of the neighbors' yards. I can actually see one from here, and I believe that that hummingbird was feeding at that station and then came back into the woods to go look for some more natural things to forage on. So right now above us we have Baltimore orioles singing very loudly, and an ovenbird singing very loudly. I sounded a little alarmed, and I was wondering why, and we have a broad-winged and a red-shouldered hawk flying over right now. This just happened as soon as we pressed record. This is really, really neat. So this oriole's kind of saying, get out of here to these predators. You can tell it's an oriole. It has a chatter in between its songs, and that kind of gives it away. So after our bird walk, looking at our totals, we broke 50 species. We got 51 species on the morning. In those 51 species, we had 8 different warblers. At one point, as we were exiting, we had 5 different warblers coming to us at once. The black and white, the pine, the ovenbird, the common yellowthroat, and the northern parula. That was something special. So thanks for joining us today. I hope you get out and watch some birds during May. It's such a great time to be getting out, seeing what's passing through Wareham, and what might set up a breeding area in your favorite natural area. Thanks for tuning in.